different counties. When we have medical emergencies or any other kind of emergencies in this area, access is always key. And it's always very difficult to get in these areas with fire apparatuses and equipment. So to have that ability to maneuver and to park and to get to somebody in need quickly is very important. Financial costs for parking citations in the hundreds of dollars, especially for these areas. The county has enhanced some of the fines for specific parking zones in this area, so it is very expensive. And it goes basically on your vehicle registration. So if you don't end up paying that parking citation, it's going to end up haunting you later on when you pay your fees with DMV.
So on the weekends, expect long lines, not a lot of parking, a lot of people, a lot of foot traffic on the roads. So be very cautious when you're driving down towards the river. And I think the biggest thing is just to be patient, to understand that it's going to take time to actually park safely, walk down to the river and enjoy. So patience is something you have to bring.
The river gives us a challenge. This year particularly with the Spalding Dam issues is that the water is now unregulated coming down the South Yuba River. So we can get fluctuations where you could be in the middle of the river in the morning, standing on a rock high and dry, and then in the afternoon you can be knee deep in water. And it all depends on how much heat they have that's going to melt the snow, that's going to come into Lake Spalding, and that's going to spill over the dam. Being aware that change can happen and being aware when it's happening to be able to move to higher ground so that you're safe and your family is safe.
So what you should do if you get caught in the river is to make sure that you stay calm, make your feet forward downriver. That's the biggest part, is getting your feet downriver. And if you have to flow, you go with the flow of the river. Look out ahead of you, look for any ways to escape, any access out, any tree branches hanging over. Yell for help and stay calm. That's the number one thing, is stay calm. But the biggest part is understand that what's important is being safe.
The more water is in the river, the more risk there is, the more hazard there is for somebody that's swimming. The harder it's going to be to move around, the more easily you could get knocked over, slip and fall into the river, and generally speaking, the colder the water is going to be as well.
Whether you live in our oak woodlands or alpine forests, if you're a resident of Nevada County, then wildfire is on your mind. From community planning to defensible space and green waste collection. All efforts make a difference. We are all in this together. Learn more about wildfire preparedness at readynevadacounty.org.
So one of the major threats that we face here in Nevada County is wildfire. And so while you're down visiting the Yuba River, consider the fire threat. Know that on a red flag day especially, a fast-moving wildfire can get out of control. Even a poorly disposed of cigarette could create a fire that pushes all the way down the canyon and into Grass Valley, Nevada City. So this summer we're encouraging folks to just be safe when they're out there. Please don't have barbecues or campfires. Be careful when you're disposing of cigarettes and other products like that that could start a fire. So when you're down here, pay attention to your surroundings. Know that while you're down here, your cell phone may not work. We do have call boxes for you to call out if there's a fire.
Should a fire occur in the canyon, you need to be moving quickly away from it, and don't wait for us to fly over, don't wait for engine companies. If you see it, get away from it, move up the canyon, move out of the way of it, because it's going to be congested at the trailhead trying to get out.
So have a plan to get yourself and your family out safely, and know that evacuations may take longer on those hot summer days if there's a fire in the River King. Think about things like evacuation. How am I going to get out if a fire were to kick off? Because of the orientation of the fuels, weather, and topography, it's important that you do your part to prevent wildfires in the Yuba River King.
What people should not bring to the river is alcohol, a barbecue, anything that has an open flame, any type of glass containers. That glass container that you're carrying could very easily shatter on the rocks and it becomes a hazard for not only you, but other people at the river.
If you're coming to the river, that's wonderful, enjoy it, it's an incredibly magical place, but take all of the trash that you brought with you, everything that you brought, bring that back out with you. Odds are you're gonna see some bottles or a can or something like that. Take that with you, and please, please, please pick up after your pets. In addition to kind of picking up trash because of aesthetic reasons, we're also really worried about trash, the plastics and things like that, and also the dog waste for the health of the environment. Because if you don't, it's just gonna end up in the river and it's bad for human health.
Okay, let's call to order, and Commissioner McAteer, if you could lead us in the salute to the flag. All right, let's do roll call.
Commissioner French,
Present.
Commissioner Foley,
Present.
Commissioner McAteer,
Present.
Commissioner Garst,
Present.
and Chair Millman.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any corrections to the agenda?
We have no corrections, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to open it up to public comment on anything that's not on the agenda in another place. So if anybody would like to public comment on something else. Okay, looks like nobody's going to take us up on that, so we're going to close public comment for that portion and move on to consent items.
I'll move adoption of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner French,
Aye.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer,
Aye.
Commissioner Garst,
Aye.
Chair Millman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to our first public hearing, and I'm going to turn it over to staff.
Good afternoon, Commission members. Steve Geiger, Principal Planner with the Planning Department. I'll be doing the presentation for this first item today, which is the Penn Valley Community Center. So by way of background, the subject property is located at 10592 Spenceville Road in Penn Valley. The subject property is 4.77 acres in size. It's zoned C2SP. It is located within the Penn Valley Village Center, and the proposed project will be served by public water and public sewer. The project involves a conditional use permit and a management plan. For the conditional use permit, the request is to allow a 10,000 square foot building that will have an attached 1,134 square foot covered outdoor seating area to be a community event facility for a wide variety of activities. These activities will include a visitor center that will be hosted by the Penn Valley Chamber of Commerce, a business and workforce development hub to help local entrepreneurs and startups grow their businesses and provide job training, an e-connectivity hub and collaborative technology center to provide high-speed broadband and Wi-Fi access for the community. It will have a commercial kitchen, a banquet hall and theater stage to accommodate concerts, private parties, fundraisers, conferences, weddings, and similar events. And we'll also have some meeting rooms. In addition, 2 1,728 square foot covered outdoor pavilions, a restroom building, and a 2.5 acre garden area, as well as a detention pond are also proposed. The management plan is required for potential impacts to a single landmark oak tree as well as a landmark grove located on the property. An initial study, mitigated negative declaration, was prepared for this project in accordance with the CEQA guidelines. On the screen here is the site plan submitted by the applicant. The main building, 10,000 square foot event building, will be located in the front half of the property, roughly centered there, as you can see, with proposed parking and circulation around the building. There will be two 18-foot wide paved one-way driveways that will connect the project site to Spencerville Road. The applicant's proposing a total of 140 parking spaces, and by the code, 120 spaces are required. 51 of these spaces are proposed to be gravel surfaced, and those will be located in the front and the rear portions of the property, while 89 spaces are proposed to be paved. The gravel spaces have been allowed on previous projects before when it's been determined it's consistent with the project site design and does not result in a negative impact. Staff believes that they should be permitted for this project due to the applicant's justification that the gravel will help maintain the rural, visual, and cultural character of the area by blending naturally with the environment, as well as reducing impervious surfaces. Here are the building elevations of the proposed community event building. It is proposed to be rustic red metal siding with white metal roof and black metal exterior columns for the front entrance cover and attached cover outdoor seating area that's located on the south side. Wall treatments will include black decorative metal mesh screens, as well as wall-mounted barn doors on the front and rear elevations, as well as wall-mounted gooseneck lights. The project is consistent with the Western Nevada County Design Guidelines. For the outdoor pavilions, as mentioned, two 1,728 square foot cover pavilions are proposed, located behind the proposed event building. They'll be open-sided with white-colored metal roofs and exposed wood beams and trusses. They will include picnic tables and will each have two barbecue grills. A single monument sign is proposed to be located along Spencerville Road between the proposed driveways. The sign will be 6 foot in height and 15 feet in width. It will consist of a 12-inch metal I-beam that will be painted black and span across the top of the sign, and it will have two gooseneck lights on both sides. The display area will be constructed of rustic red metal siding to match the primary building and will have black lettering. The sign display area will total 27.5 square feet. In addition to this monument sign, there will be wall signage proposed on the east elevation of the building above the entrance. Regarding landscaping and lighting, the applicant is proposing a total of 48 trees that will consist of 9 separate species. 7 species are native and 2 species will be conifers. 63 existing on-site trees are proposed to be retained on-site. Parking lot trees will provide a total of 41% shade coverage within 15 years, which meets the county's code requirement of 40%. Required buffered yard landscaping will be provided along Spencerville Road, along the frontage there, as well as along the south property line. For lighting, 10 light poles are proposed for the parking and driveway areas, and they'll be 15-foot maximum in height. The pole lights will have decorative covers in order to direct the light downward. There will also be wall-mounted gooseneck lighting on the primary building. There are 2 mitigation measures being recommended with regard to lighting. The first one to require that all light fixtures be fully shielded and directed downward to eliminate glare and prevent light trespass. And the second one is to require the applicant to provide a final lighting and photometric plan that will demonstrate that all project lighting values will be 0 at the property lines. Regarding the Oak Resources Management Plan, on the screen is a photo of the subject blue oak tree. It is 42 inches in diameter, and it's located along Spencerville Road near the southeastern corner of the property. Also considered by the management plan is a 0.45 acre landmark oak grove that's located along the northern border within the central portion of the parcel. According to the biological inventory prepared for the project, this large blue oak is in relatively good health, even though it's along a highly disturbed area of the parcel. The tree's drip line does encroach near Spencerville Road right-of-way, where an 8-foot wide paved back and pedestrian path is proposed by the applicant. The result of the management plan is that the proposed project and path should have an insignificant impact on the tree. In order to ensure the tree's protection, the management plan has recommended a 2-year monitoring of the oak tree after construction of the project. The monitoring is to be conducted once a year by a certified arborist or qualified biologist. If the tree's health deteriorates or dies prior to 2 years after the construction, then compensatory mitigation would be required. And this is being recommended as mitigation 4B. An environmental review was conducted in accordance with CEQA. There was a public review period of between May 22nd to June 22nd. There were a total of 27 comment letters received with regard to this project. 10 were included in your initial staff report, and 17 were provided in a supplemental memo distributed today to you. What resulted from the environmental review was a total of 19 mitigation measures addressing such items as biological resources, air quality, noise, as well as hydrology and water quality. Regarding potential traffic impacts generated by the project, the applicant was required to submit a traffic impact study. The study projected that the project will generate approximately 228 weekday daily vehicle trips. 20 of these will occur during the weekday morning peak hour, and 25 would occur during the weekday evening peak hour. Project is projected to generate approximately 900 Saturday daily vehicle trips, with 11 occurring during the Saturday midday peak hour. The study concluded that the project will not have a significant impact since it generates less than 100 peak hour vehicle trips. It will not significantly impact the nearby Penn Valley Drive Spencerville Road intersection that currently operates better than the level of service C during peak hours, because the project generates less than 40 peak hour vehicle trips. Public Works departments reviewed the project, and some of the conditions that they will require is that the new driveways be constructed to the commercial approach standards. Traffic mitigation fees will be required, truck turning analysis, as well as providing a designated on-site location for passenger drop-off. Another potential impact of the project is noise, and because of that, the applicant was required to submit a noise assessment. Construction activities associated with the project are exempt from the county's noise standards due to their temporary nature. But in order to reduce potential impacts, there is a mitigation measure being recommended to restrict construction hours between 7 a.m. 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The assessment concluded that noise generated by activities at the community center would meet the applicable county noise standards at the nearest existing uses to the project site. In order to minimize any potential noise impacts to neighboring properties, the assessment provided 3 mitigation measures. First one being that all events held at the facility, whether they be outdoor or indoor, shall start after 7 a.m. and end by 10 p.m. Second one is events generating amplified music or speech will be limited to the interior of the community center building. And finally, the community center building shall be designed such that sound generated inside the building does not excessively spill into the neighboring parcels when the doors of the center are opened. You'll note by this floor plan here, I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but incorporated into the floor plan is an entryway room, which in addition to the main doors will have a second set of doors here. As well as the side doors will also have a second set of doors, as you see here and here, which staff believes meets the requirement of this mitigation. The community center building does incorporate a rural design and colors consistent with the Penn Valley Village Center and other buildings in the area. The county code does require compatibility between community meeting, social event facilities, and residential uses. The parcel that's immediately adjacent to the south is zoned business professional, but it is developed with the residents. So to ensure compatibility, the code would typically require a 50-foot non-disturbance buffer be provided along the south side of the project site. The applicant provided justification to staff for the proposed driveway and parking spaces that are shown here along the south to be located within this 50-foot non-disturbance buffer area. The encroachment is limited, and it's needed to accommodate the parking configuration and ensure safe circulation, as well as additional landscaping is being proposed by the applicant along the south property line in order to create a dense visual screen to buffer from the neighboring property. The encroachment area does consist of parking spaces and driveway, which results in minimum low impact use and intermittent use. And there are no permanent structures or continuous activities that will occur within the buffer area. Staff believes the proposed site design meets the intent of the county code and that it will minimize impacts to the adjacent property to the south. So it is staff's recommendation that the Commission today adopt the mitigated negative declaration, including the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, as well as approve the conditional use permit, as well as the Oak Resources Management Plan before you today. The applicant is here and has a presentation to provide, along with, I believe, a few speakers. And this concludes my presentation, unless there's any questions at this time.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and hear from the applicant.
There we go. I'm a little short for that microphone. Hello, everybody, fellow commissioners and staff. My name is Teresa Dietrich. I'm the president of the Penn Valley Community Foundation. I want to introduce to you my board of directors who are here today. Would you guys stand and be acknowledged if you're a director? Thank you. Oh, Stan and Gay, you didn't stand. These are our caterers. You guys want to know them. We also have the trustees for the Donald W. Young Foundation, who donated the property to the Community Foundation, here with us. Would you guys stand? Yes. Thank you. And we also have 2 members of leadership from the Penn Valley Chamber of Commerce. Would you stand? And actually more than that, I see Dana's in the back too. These guys are all with the Penn Valley Chamber of Commerce. So at this point, what I'd like to just say is thank you for having us here today. We're here to answer any questions, and I'm going to turn this over to our consultant, Christopher Ring.
Okay. Hello, commissioners and staff members. Thank you for having us here today. We're very excited to present this project to you. This has been a long time coming. I've worked with this group for the last 2 years to prepare the applications and studies, and I can tell you that it is one of the hardest working groups that I've ever been a part of. They don't ask for anything in return. They donate their time consistently in the betterment of their community. And I'm very proud to be a part of that group. What I'd like to say is we believe we have a great design. We've worked on it with a number of consultants, many of them local. This is a completely community-funded project to this point, and every consultant that I have contracted with through this process has donated some of their time, if not all of their time, for the betterment of the project. That includes our landscape architect, our civil engineer, Kevin Nelson. Landscape architect is Blake Hinman, excuse me. And literally every single report and study that you've seen, they have given their time at a donation. So with that being said, I'll go through our slides. I think Steve hit about 80% of what I have on those slides, but we'll go through it again anyway. So we're here to support the development permit application. We've been working with staff for the last year to get it to this point. It is a 10,000 square foot building in the heart of the Penn Valley District, and its goal is to serve the community on every level. Our site plan shows that the building is centered in the middle of the parcel, with the majority of the parcel in the back staying natural. We left the entire oak grove in the back, There is a community garden in the back. There's also a connection to the school adjacent. So after-school programs can be supported without the kids walking along the sidewalk on Spencerville Road. They can access the project directly from the rear. We also included a drop-off and pickup location for the bus system that serves Penn Valley. It's not an official bus stop, but if people get on the bus anywhere in Penn Valley, there is accommodations for them to be picked up or dropped off at the entrance of the building. Let's jump to the next one, please. So we are a local nonprofit. We propose to build and operate this facility with the attached outdoor seating and community event facility on the donated 4.77 acres. It'll serve the residents of Penn Valley and Western Nevada County as a gathering place, meeting hub for nonprofits, a venue for cultural, educational, recreational, and emergency preparedness uses. As Steve said, what's included in our application today is our conditional use permit, our Oak Resource Management Plan, and the Mitigated Negative Declaration. Inside the center, we have the multi-purpose banquet and event hall, the performance stage and green room, a full commercial kitchen, flexible meeting rooms and classrooms, technology-enabled classrooms, high-speed broadband and public Wi-Fi, a visitor information center run by the Penn Valley Chamber of Commerce, office space for nonprofit providers, business and workflow development hub, the 2 covered outdoor pavilions, and the community garden. In addition to that, we also have EV charging stations that can be used at any time by anyone in the community. The purpose of the center is to host civic and public meetings. Oftentimes those meetings now are held in the local church or the fire department across the street. That includes the county MAC meetings for Penn Valley. And oftentimes those rooms are packed full, so it will be nice to have a larger space for those events. The Chamber of Commerce will also be able to use that space. It's also going to operate as a warming and cooling center and a refuge during wildlife and extreme weather with an emergency backup generator for power for PSPS outages. The full commercial kitchen will also facilitate that warming and cooling center in emergencies. There will be after-school programs and the EV charging stations accessible at all times. The covered pavilions provide the outdoor space so people can gather outdoors. We have a wonderful climate. We want them to utilize the space, specifically in the rear of the property where there's a lot of outdoor and open space for them to utilize for the community gardens and where the pavilions set. They are all ADA accessible throughout the entire project, so we're very happy about that as well. The climate-controlled refuge provides the heating and cooling during the PSPS outages. The commercial kitchen can be used by the County Office of Emergency Services to prepare emergency meals as well. It's located in the emergency hub directly adjacent from the fairgrounds, the rodeo grounds, which is currently used for animal staging during those emergency events. This will be the first permanent public community center serving Penn Valley and Western Nevada County. It's a permanent meeting space for the civic groups, nonprofits, and the Penn Valley MAC. The after-school and youth programs will be utilized by the Ready Springs Elementary School directly adjacent to the property to the rear southwest corner. There will be senior wellness, recreation, and social programs. The commercial kitchen, which supports the local agriculture and food entrepreneurs. Business, workflow, and visitor center hub for economic development. And of course, the high-speed broadband closing the rural digital divide. The project is consistent with the Penn Valley Area Plan. It's within the Village Core District. Penn Valley designated central hub under the 2020 Penn Valley Community Area Plan. We've exceeded our parking requirements by 20 stalls. We've tied the project to the public transit. We have a significant amount of open space. We have the ADA access throughout the project. We're providing a clean energy source for those using battery-powered vehicles. And we're served by the Penn Valley Fire District, which is very conveniently directed right across the street. Our leadership is here in the room. Teresa introduced them to you. Most of our board members and officers are present. And then on the board, you'll see our professional advisory team. That includes Supervisor Sue Hook, Rich Johansson, our NID director, Kevin Nelson, our civil engineer, Blake Hinman, our landscape architect, Dana Etlin, who's here today, I believe, as well. There he is. And then Gene West. So that concludes our review and a review of our proposal. And we're happy to take any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Garst, would you like to start with questions?
Sure. I have a couple of questions about this site layout. The fire access road that is located on like the southwest corner of the property, where does that lead to?
That leads to the elementary school parking lot.
Okay. And so there is like, that's presumably where the fire access leads back to a public right-of-way for fire trucks?
Yes, it does. They can access through the main entrance. It's an accessory exit when needed.
Okay. So the cul-de-sac is designed for vehicles turning around on-site?
Yes, it is. And then it's a circular parking, so they can go all the way around the building and exit as well.
Okay. There wasn't any dimensions on the width of that fire access road, and my understanding is design guidelines are for 24-foot back out distance, and measuring it off of the site plan, it looked like that it was less than that. Is there a reason why that was allowed to be narrower than what would be typical?
I believe the gravel driveway, in my measurement, met the 24-foot back out area, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's the 25-foot throughout the site, and it scaled smaller than that. So as long as that's designed to meet those requirements, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
The other comment I had about that is people parking in that area, how are they circulating back to the building? Is there sidewalks, or are they going to be walking on the fire access road?
I believe at this time they're walking on the fire access road, yes.
Okay. I think I would like to see some sidewalks or some pedestrian circulation through that space so that people who are walking to the building are not competing with arriving traffic. I think for safety purposes, that would be beneficial. And then that is located within this 50-foot buffer encroachment, is that correct? Stephen? The parking?
Yeah, yes, that parking and the gravel access is all within the 50-foot, yes.
And then the landscape buffer there was called out to be, I believe, the Toyon shrubs. And I was just curious, maybe the landscape architect can speak to like the size those shrubs can grow to?
Get up to 15 feet high.
How long does it take to get to maybe more than 8 feet? Probably 4 years. Okay. Great.
We also have a letter of support from the owner of the residence to the south, who's very supportive of the project and happy to see it move forward.
Perfect. That's great. I was curious, this is not necessarily part of this application, but I was curious why there was no windows designed to be on the building.
We did it for safety and security. We are going to have staff there the majority of the time during office hours, normal operating hours. What we didn't want to do was create a building that invited folks to come in and look at the windows after hours and promote a way to get in the building when nobody was there.
Mm-hmm. It might be nice to have some natural light in those classrooms.
We do have some natural light at the roof level.
Okay. And And then I noticed some stairs on the floor plan, but this is listed as a single-story building. Where do those stairs lead to?
I believe there's a small area above the entrance that's a storage and, like the soundboard and utilities for operating the main event area and stage is usually an upper level like mezzanine. But it's more of a back of house. It's not a public use area.
Okay. I think that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner McIntyre?
Thank you. First of all, hello to my friend I haven't seen in 20 years, Dana Etlin. Nice to see you, Dana. I think this is a great project. There's no doubt about it. I'm curious about the entryway. It seems like a total loss of space in that entryway. You go through the entryway, and then there's another set of doors. Is there a rationale to just sort of leaving that? I don't know how big of a space that is, but can you call that footprint up for me, Steve?
You're talking about the floor plan, actually?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I can speak to that as Steve is
Sure.
pulling that up. So we're going to have sponsors who have donated throughout this process, and that's going to be a sponsor/donor wall, and it's going to show all the names of the folks and businesses that donated to the project on your way in. It also ties to the noise study where it helps divide the area where the main amount of noise is going to be happening within the building and creates a buffer to the outdoors to reduce any type of noise outside. It also creates a gathering space outside of where an event is actually happening. So if somebody has to rush out with a crying baby, or if they're checking tickets for an event, all of that can happen in the entryway and instead of in the main area of the building.
Okay. And finally, I happen to be very good friends with Helen and Stan Feta. And was this mainly Feta money? I know the Youngs donated property, but were Stan and Helen involved at this at all or not? Okay.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, because I know they were instrumental in so many other things down in that community. So, Teresa, sorry, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say that there have been about 5 different iterations of this board.
Uh-huh.
So we are the first board that has been able to get it to this far. And a previous board was related to In Concert Sierra, and that might have been when they were actually donating, but we don't have good records of all of that previous funding.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm done.
Commissioner, would you like to?
Yeah, I guess this question is probably for Steve. Looking at the plan, it said there's 51 spaces that are gravel and 89 that are paved. And I'm curious, maybe we can pull up the picture of the exterior. Are the gravel parking, I'm assuming is these overflow areas and then behind the building?
So, yeah, the gravel parking is this area here in the front, as well as the area in the rear here.
Is it not possible to use gravel for the whole project? I mean, seeing as how this is community funded and volunteer hours and donations to drive down the cost of the project, is that something that is not feasible?
The requirement, the county code typically does require paved parking for commercial, similar public type uses like this. As I mentioned, we have allowed for gravel parking in the past, and we felt that the amount of parking that they're asking for gravel was appropriate. And again, the standard is paved parking, but we understand for budgetary concerns and for the area, the character, that gravel parking at the number they proposed fits the site well.
Okay. Well, it seems like gravel parking lot fits the Penn Valley aesthetic pretty well. All the other parking lots are gravel down there. I would just hope that as this project moves forward through the building department and stuff like that, where there is a gray area or leniency, that we err on the side of the development to lower the costs as much as possible where we can, just seeing as how this project is funded and it's going to be such a huge asset to the community. That's really the only comment I have on it.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I think this is a great project, much needed. I keep looking for something to nitpick over it, and I really can't. I think it's a great project all the way around. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I found a couple of nitpick things.
Okay, let's hear it.
So it looked like when our staff introduced the project and talked about the sign, that there were lights on both sides of the signs, and I wondered why there's lights on the back side.
I believe it's because we're going to have the entrance signage on both sides of the sign. So from either direction on Spencerville Road, you'll be able to see the monument sign and what the building is.
That makes sense. And then for the outdoor lights, are those on some sort of motion sensor, or do they burn all night?
I believe they're going to be on a timer. So we're going to close in accordance with the, required hours for closing, I believe is 10 p.m. So we'll probably have those go off somewhat later than the 10 p.m. deadline, but the goal is not to have them burn all night.
Okay. And then it looks like that roof is perfect for solar. Is it piped for future install?
I believe it is, yes.
And I also think that classrooms and offices, maybe windows might be, if I were working there, I'd be really happy to have a window, but that's up to you guys for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions before we go to public comment?
Steve, I just want to know, on a project like this, is there a different fee schedule relative to a community project like this compared to a commercial project?
No, the fees as far as planning application goes are all the same.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to open this up for public comment. You'll have 3 minutes to talk in favor or against the project, or really just whatever comment you'd like us to know about. And if anybody wants to approach the microphone, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm going to assume that most of those people sitting over there, having been introduced as part of the project, are in favor. Is there anybody else that would like to come up? And if you want to go ahead and state your name and where you live.
My name is Teresa, and I live on Spencerville Road. And I hate to burst everybody's bubble here because I know everybody's for this, but I'm not. The reason is because first I've moved here in 2007.
Can you move the mic a little bit down? That would be
Okay, I moved here from North Bay to get quiet, to enjoy my life living in the country. And so I've seen a lot of changes happen in Penn Valley, and a lot of it is traffic. A lot of traffic. And it's getting worse. So I have a concern for that. There would be nice to have some speed bumps there. So that's number one. And the noise, to me, that seems a lot to be put on 5 acres. It'd be nice to have a community garden there. However, the noise factor concerns me because from Western Gateway Park, I can hear music coming from there when they have concerts. That doesn't really bother me, so now I'm kind of concerned about, okay, this is not too far from where I live. How is that going to affect people in the community? So that concerns me. And the amount of people going to and from this area, there's going to be lights. How is that going to disturb the community? That concerns me. And we don't really know until anything gets built. Then we can really get a feel for it. So, yeah, I'm very concerned. I know I believe in community centers. I personally don't like the location. Like I said, I live on Spencerville Road, not too far from where it's going to be built. So, I don't mean to be a party pooper, but I am entitled to my own opinion. And, okay, so we're going to have Wi-Fi. Is there going to be towers built, like Wi-Fi towers? That concerns me, because those aren't good for you. Let's see, what else? So, yeah, and the water, how's that going to affect the community, those that have well water? What's going to happen to the well water? So all this growth is concerning me by living, not too far from here. So anyway, so that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to participate in the public comment?
My name is Dane Atlin. I've lived in Penn Valley for almost 50 years and have been following this project for 20 years. And I would have to say that the lady that was here previously has some legitimate concerns. However, there's always concerns when anything changes. So as far as the noise, I'd just like to let you know, she bought a house next door to a school. So the schools are not exactly the most quiet things. And the concerts in the park are outdoors. They're indoors, not outdoors. So the music probably won't go as much. I think there's way too many advantages to this, especially from a public safety standpoint, as far as having a place that people can go in a wildfire. Emergency services across the street from the rodeo, which also makes a lot of noise at certain times of the year. So I think the benefits far outweigh any of the concerns that some people might have in the area. So that's just kind of all I really wanted to say. There's always a few people that aren't going to be happy with the overall, but overall, this is probably one of the best things that will happen to Penn Valley. So I'm hoping that you will see it that way and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anna Lowe, and I am the president for the Penn Valley Chamber. And I moved to Penn Valley 42 years ago. And I, like the other guest, came to the country for the country life. I wanted to build my family here. I've been a part of the baseball fields, the education and all the schools. I've been involved with my kids in several different things in Penn Valley. I was also a part of the 1988 fires that we had. And the fire broke out on the north side of Lake Wildwood. And my mom came over to our house and said, I lived on the main gate area. And she said, "We've got a fire." And I said, "Mom, it's on the other side. It's like no big deal. It'll be handled." And 2 minutes later, the fire department was in my front yard evacuating us. My dad had a business in Penn Valley, and we were all around a transistor radio listening to the details of the fire and whose house was still there and whose wasn't. So I feel like this project, I didn't even know this until recent about the OES emergency spot, and I just remember that day and how important it was to our community to have a hub where people could meet. We really didn't have that at that time. And I since have also been involved with the chamber, want to grow our chamber, and I bought a new table because we were out of space the first meeting. We had several people that wanted to be involved in our community and have come forward, and so We've actually added even more chairs since then. So it is definitely growing and in a positive way in our area. I attended the planning meeting several years back for Penn Valley. And what I took away from that is that people wanted to see growth, but they wanted it planned. And I feel like this project, they've taken every detail of what people had wanted. They see the growth, it's planned in the aesthetic that is to our area. I think they've minimized the sound as much as possible for the project. And the other project, which he was saying in the main hallway, I had talked to other people on the project, and I believe that they were going to have some educational things in there that would be on the...
You're out of time, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I believe that this concludes our public comment. Anybody else? Last call? Okay. We'll close comment. Staff or applicant, if you'd like to address any of the issues that came up?
Yes, I can address a few of the comments that were made. There was mention of concern about the traffic impact. Just like to reiterate, there was a traffic study prepared for the project that was reviewed by staff, by the Public Works Department, determined that the project will not have a significant impact traffic-wise. There was mention about noise, and again, a noise assessment was conducted for the project. That result of that was 3 mitigation measures, specific mitigation measures to address noise to insignificant levels. There was a comment about possible Wi-Fi towers. There are no towers proposed as part of this application, so that is not a part of the project. Question was raised about well water. While the applicant, there is an existing well on the property that will be retained for irrigation purposes. The project is going to be served by NID water, a public water system. That's the comments that I had noted here.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any further questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Can we pull the recommendations back up on the screen, please? Yeah, I would just say that this is extremely exciting for Penn Valley. The attention to detail, as mentioned, is really special. It seems like this is from young to old. This is going to be a benefit. The fact that you're offering business services and the emergency center being so close to Penn Valley Fire, it seems like the perfect location to have a space like this. So it's very exciting. With that, I would recommend that the commission adopt I move that the commission adopt the mitigated negative declaration, including a mitigation monitoring and reporting program identified as attachment 2 of the staff report pursuant to sections 15074 and 15097 of the California Environmental Act guidelines, and make findings A through C as shown in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Your vote, please. Commissioner French?
Aye.
Commissioner Foley?
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer?
Aye.
Commissioner Garst?
Aye.
And Chair Millman?
Aye.
Thank you.
I also move that subject to the recommended conditions of approval and mitigation monitoring and reporting plan found in attachment 1 of the staff report, approve the conditional use permit CUP 25-0004 to allow a 10,000 square foot building with attached 1,134 square foot covered outdoor seating area as a community event facility to support a wide array of activities, events, and services. A commercial kitchen, a banquet hall, a theater/stage, And smart meeting rooms are also proposed in addition to 1,728 square foot outdoor covered pavilions, a 225 square foot restroom building, a 2.5 acre garden area, and the detention pond are also proposed on the subject 4.77 acre parcel based on findings A through L as shown in the staff report.
Council, does that work as a proposal? Or as a,
It does, yes, as long as the approval of the conditional use permit is included in the motion, which it is.
thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Your vote, please, Commissioner Friend. Excuse me.
Aye.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer,
Aye.
Commissioner Garst,
Aye.
and Chair Millman.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I also move to approve the Oak Resources Management Plan, MGT 26-0001, for potential impacts to a landmark oak tree and a landmark grove on the subject property, subject to findings A and B as shown in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Your vote, please, Commissioner French,
Aye.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer,
Aye.
Commissioner Garst,
Aye.
and Chair Millman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are on to our second.
Thank you. Best wishes to you.
Thank you, guys. Have fun at the party. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is also a public hearing, so I'm going to turn this over to staff.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Zachary Rubal, and I'm an associate planner with the Nevada County Planning Department and the project planner for the 2026 ADU ordinance amendment in front of the Planning Commission for review today. So a little bit of background on what started this process. So on October 8th of 2025, the Nevada County Planning Department received an email from the Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD, about since there were several revisions and updates that were done to state ADU law since 2019, they wanted to ensure that our current ordinance was compliant with the current standards. And so they did request that we upload our current ordinance to the ADU portal for them to review. So the Planning Department responded back shortly after and provided both Ordinance 2529 and Ordinance 2462, which were completed in order to address those policy updates and those ADU state law updates. However, we did identify that there was one minor noncompliance found regarding the ADUs on parcels with a multifamily dwelling. So the proposed amendment includes just very minor revisions required to achieve statutory compliance with the state ADU law. And the Nevada County Code currently only allows for 2 detached ADUs per lot with a multifamily dwelling, whereas current state ADU law does allow for up to 8 detached ADUs per lot with a multifamily dwelling unit. And so therefore, this amendment will amend the Nevada County Code to be consistent with the state ADU law to now allow for 8 detached ADUs per lot with a multifamily dwelling instead of the current 2. So the project was deemed to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15061B3, as the amendment would not result in any physical change to the environment, and any future development pursuant to the legislation would be subject to environmental review pursuant to CEQA. And so therefore, staff recommends the following recommendations as shown on the screen. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Commissioner French, you have questions?
Yeah, it's kind of a general one, but a goofy one. So, you know, the state recommends and mandates that. What if you don't do it? I'm just that guy to go, or what, you know?
So I wouldn't say I know the specific penalties, but obviously when dealing with the state, oftentimes you risk, if you're not in compliance with their regulations, you could ultimately risk state funding. It could go that far from the state. Obviously, most jurisdictions try to keep in good standing with the state and try to make sure they comply.
Understood. I was just being that guy,
I can also add that if you have an ordinance that's not in compliance with state law, and if you try to enforce the county ordinance on somebody with a more restrictive number of units than the state allows, they could technically sue or challenge the county ordinance. They'd likely prevail in court, and they might be given their attorney's fees as well at the back end of it.
Commissioner?
I guess, obviously this is a state thing. I'm just curious, for real world practicality, what does that look like for a property here in the county? Is there an example of a multifamily parcel somewhere that would be able to do this type of thing? And I guess from the county's standards, this is allowed, but to build 8 additional units on a parcel, would that have to go through some kind of development process with the county? Because it's kind of like a little mobile home park in a way, or something. It's a development.
So the thing is, you could get up to 8 detached ADU units, and that's going to be pursuant to how much density is with the multifamily dwelling. Like, for example, if you have a large apartment complex where there's maybe 40 to 50 units just within that, then that allows you to get higher up to that 8. So that there is a specific numbers, and there is a calculation depending on how many multifamily dwelling units you have within that dwelling, would allow for the number of ADUs. You can just get up to a maximum of 8 if you have the availability.
So you couldn't have a duplex on a parcel and then build 8 units?
That's correct, Commissioner
Okay.
Foley.
So I see. That makes more sense, I guess. That's all I got.
Commissioner McAteer?
So help me out. I've got half of my answers here from John. So this is, what is Sacramento intending? I'm trying to understand how this intent is, because we're out in here in rural California. So this one sort of is a little bit mind-boggling. So give me an idea of what it would look like in urban California, because I don't see it happening too much here.
Thank you, Commissioner McAteer. So you are very correct. So the state law applies across the entire state. So whether or not we're a rural county or a more metropolitan county, it's the same. And so it is more applicable to more urban jurisdictions such as the county of Sacramento, or even areas of even the city of Sacramento, and where there's a lot more urban development and not as much rural activity, because they do have much larger multifamily structures with larger density associated with them. So it was meant more for those larger jurisdictions, but because it is a state law, in order to be compliant, we do need to put it in ours as well, just to provide anybody with the availability to do so if their project does actually.
So is really the intent this idea that I own an apartment building with 10 units and I've got extra space on my building, and I can then come in and put another 8-unit complex in the back of the lot or so? Is that the idea?
So yeah, if the density would allow for up to 8, then yes, you could get up to 8, and those would be similar as a standard ADU that's built in today's day. In age of code requirements, they wouldn't be able to rent it out for anything less than 30 days. It would be for long-term rental only.
And in this county, where would you ever see anything like that taking place? In an urban corridor? It couldn't take place out in I own, a duplex or so on city property, but I'm not in the downtown corridor. Can I then add 8 more units onto my property?
So no, you wouldn't be able to add the full 8. So like I said, it's going to depend on however many units, because there is a density calculation, depending on how many units are in that multifamily dwelling is what allows you to get up to the 8. So it would be looking at the overall development. Let's just say somebody came in and they did find a property that they had the availability to put 40 units on it, then they would be able to get a higher number of ADUs than somebody who has a duplex with only 2 units, because we would have to take in the density calculation into that to establish how many ADUs would be allowed on that parcel.
Right, so you'd automatically have to be on some type of sewer system. That's an automatic. In a rural community like ours, so you're relegated to downtown Nevada City or downtown Grass Valley, essentially?
Commissioner, I think some examples of areas would be Penn Valley, like the Lone Oak apartments. Those are zoned R2. So the R2 zoning is our multifamily zoning,
Okay.
along with R3. So anywhere in the county that has R2 or R3 development.
Great.
We have limited, there's only a handful. Lake of the Pines area, more Higgins Corner has some R3. An example that's probably unlikely, but would be the Lone Oak Apartments, because that's zoned R2. If they have some open space and some room, if they had capacity for developing up to, I don't know what the calculations would be, it might be 2 or 3 based on their overall density. You could potentially see one in the unincorporated area of the county, but it would be in those
Great,
high
Brian. Thank you
densities.
very, very much. Appreciate it.
Commissioner?
Yes, I have some questions. Is the calculation of how you can determine how many ADUs are allowed based on multifamily units on a property spelled out in the ordinance anywhere?
Not in our current ordinance, and it's not included in the current update. I would have to look into that.
Okay, I think that would be helpful just as a reference guide for people who might be wanting to look into this. And then my other question is, how does this affect attached ADUs? Because my understanding of the ADU allowance is to increase density beyond what a jurisdiction allows typically, and this is relegated specifically to detached. And so sometimes there's cost benefit to attaching additional units to existing structure rather than detached. So why is that not included in this?
And that was not one of the things that we found in HCD's. When they were requesting the information from us, the only thing that we noticed was a non-compliance was this specific portion of the ordinance, and so therefore we were just correcting that one number.
Okay. I think that'd be interesting to explore because I think economically that would be more desirable for developers to increase their density, especially on some of these multifamily lots that have kind of maxing out their footprints and utilities and things like that. And there's no impact to the number of JADUs allowed through this?
No, there's no impact to the JADUs.
Okay, thank you.
So kind of following on that, if you've got a parcel, R2, R3, whatever, and you've come up with the maximum density, which I think this county does it on, is it FAR or is it actual per acre counts?
We have a specific calculation of dwelling units per acre.
And so then this is in addition to that? So my acreage, I'm allowed to have 42 units, but then in addition to that, I might get another 6 on top of that?
So that's correct. You get the 6 ADUs because pursuant to state ADU law, ADUs don't contribute towards density, so it wouldn't be a contributing factor towards their allowable density.
Do they contribute towards the FAR ratio or anything like that?
So they do contribute towards like impervious surface calculation, and that we don't have floor area ratio here in Nevada County. We do the impervious surface and kind of in lieu of that. So they would still be subject to meeting their standards for maximum impervious surface calculations, but it's just not considered density from a density standpoint.
Okay. Well, seems overall good. All right. Anybody have any other questions?
So if with the idea of like wanting to include attached units, because to Danny's point, like if it was allowed to be attached, then those units could be stacked, and if they're detached, maybe they can't be stacked. I think I would like to maybe revisit this with that additional consideration.
Yeah, because the other piece of it is that if you detach them, now they have to have 10 feet between in order to be able to have doors and windows that are facing, but if you could attach them, then you wouldn't need as much space to put them in
And
there.
same with vehicular circulation paths, and there's a lot of...
Unless you put them over your parking or something goofy.
Commissioners, can I maybe make a recommendation for you to consider? Because we are working on our housing element, and that will be coming to your planning commission probably early next year. We can potentially look at that issue as part of our housing element update and include some additional standards for attached ADUs in working with state. We just haven't researched that particular issue. And we would like to get this ordinance passed to get in compliance so that the state doesn't penalize us during our review period of our next housing element when we're going through that process.
Okay, that seems fair. That said, I'd like to make a motion to recommend the Board of Supervisors find the project categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15061B3 of the California Environmental Quality Act CEQA guidelines.
Because we have nobody from the public here, correct?
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Okay, so public comment is open and immediately pretty much closed here since there are no members of the public wishing to speak on this. Do we have a second on the proposal?
I'll second.
Your vote, Commissioner French,
Aye.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer,
Aye.
Commissioner Garst,
Aye.
Chair Millman.
Aye.
Thank you.
And furthermore?
Oh, and I make a motion to recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the attached ordinance, Attachment 1, amending Nevada County Code Title 12, Zoning Regulations, Chapter 3, Specific Land Uses, Section 12.03.191, Accessory and Junior Accessory Dwelling Units.
Would you like
I'll
to say?
second.
Your vote, please, Commissioner French,
Aye.
Commissioner Foley,
Aye.
Commissioner McAteer,
Aye.
Commissioner Garst,
Aye.
and Chair Millman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we are done with our public hearings, and what do we have coming up?
Commissioners, I believe that our next meeting will likely be on August 13th. We don't have anything scheduled right now for July, August 13th. There's a potential for a couple of development projects, one or two, and then we'll also be looking at a nuisance ordinance. There's a nuisance abatement ordinance through our code compliance department. We'll be presenting some changes to the nuisance abatement process in our code standards that will be requesting a recommendation from your commission up to the board. So that'll be on August 13th, and potentially we'll have another meet or have projects ready for another meeting on August 27th. We'll keep you informed of that date, but it will be the 13th likely for our next hearing here. I can also give you a brief update on the RV ordinance, the alternative housing RV ordinance that your commission looked at quite a few months ago now. I think it was late last year. That is scheduled to go to the board on July 28th. The board heard the item on March 10th, deliberated for quite a while, made a couple of recommendations to make changes to the ordinance. The main one is to incorporate basically a hardship clause or an income restriction. So that has been revised, and we restructured the ordinance to fit within the existing section of the ordinance that addresses RVs. I did send out an email to you a number of weeks ago. Given the changes that the board recommended, the Planning Commission is required to be noticed of those changes and considered a period of 40 days. If you have any comments, I think that comment period ends early July, forget the exact date, July 7th or so, maybe earlier. And so if you have any comments and you want to provide them to me, we can forward those along to the board for their consideration regarding those two essential changes. And again, that'll be on July 28th in the afternoon. I think that's all the updates I have, but happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, we passed this cannabis item a year ago or so to be able to allow one cannabis shop up in North San Juan and one up on Donner Summit. And so, and I know you were going through a committee process and everything. Where is that, Brian?
Yeah, the committee has been formed, has met, and did they make a selection? They are very close to accepting applications from an individual who wants to open a business. I believe they've met once or twice to establish their bylaws and elect a chairperson, and establish the parameters of the scoring system of how they'll score those applications. And I believe the solicitation for those applications will be going out shortly, within the next month or so. The committee will review the applications and select an applicant to be allowed to apply for a use permit, and then we will process the use permit as we normally do, and it will come to your commission.
And so is there two committees? I mean, one from North San Juan and one from the Summit? And no, there's one committee for both areas.
One committee, both areas, with representatives from all different districts, 2 representatives from District 5 and 2 from District 4, and then 1 from the others.
And the Bear River project, since I have a personal interest in that, where is that? I see it says incomplete, and
Is
so
that
give me
the Bear Yuba Land
at
Trust?
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, you want to give an update?
You on that, Steve?
Yes, that's my project. So, yes, we're working we actually just met with the applicant last week. We had some issues to work through with regard to the driveway, the entrance. So we're nearing getting everything ironed out. Once that's all ironed out, we'll get the environmental going, get that completed, and try to get that to the Planning Commission as soon as we can.
And just so my interest, did PG&E give that property to the land trust, or because I know they had that, the awful thing across the street that happened from it. So how did that? Do you know how that property was acquired?
I don't know how
They purchased it. It wasn't given by, PG&E didn't do them any favors.
Well, they didn't do anyone any
Exactly.
favors up there.
No.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Any other anythings? All right, this concludes this meeting. Thank you.